Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Poll Review with Bill, the company's expert. That's me. And this is the live stream where we go over the polls that you guys fill out, and we see what you're saying. So thank you for joining me today. I publish a poll every day, and a lot of people fill them out, and they make comments, and this is where we find out what it all means. So let's see if I can go over to my desktop here. Oh, and before we get started, if you haven't seen this video, check it out. It's the latest video on my channel, where I go full YouTube on everyone. So I finally sunk down and hit rock bottom, and the thumbnail shows that. So check that out if you haven't already seen it. And while we're waiting for a couple of people to show up, just a reminder that I do have a course, and that's this thing right here, the $100 MBA. If you're wanting to learn business, check that out, link in the description. And also, if you're looking to get hired, but you feel a bit overwhelmed about how to go about getting hired, how to write a resume, how to apply for a job, what are the different methods of getting a job, all that kind of stuff. Or if you're looking to break into networking, you want to further your career by networking, I have another course called Get Hired. This is kind of my main line. It's a very popular course. Link in the description if you are interested in learning that stuff. Anyway, let's go over to the polls and see what you guys have been saying here. Okay, so starting with where we left off from last week. So I put this out. This annoys me the most. And the options were poor manners, trivializing my accomplishments, or lack of integrity. And you guys said lack of integrity is by far the winner. It annoys you the most with 59%. And we got some pretty choice comments. A lot of this stuff is kind of in line with what I was expecting. So no real surprises there. Thank you to everybody who sent in your comments. What's really cool is that people are sending in comments and other people are reading the comments and replying to them and getting a little bit of a discussion there. The next question I threw out was this one here. A private company has a duty to provide jobs and thus distribute money to people. Okay? Is that true or false? Now, a couple of things here. What's really interesting is, first of all, the results are 75% of you guys said false. And yes, I agree with that. Now, obviously, it depends what country you're in, what the laws are exactly. But where I am in Canada, and I believe where a lot of you guys are, the United States, I know I've got a lot of viewers in the United States, this is false. It's false from a legal perspective, okay? As far as I know. And yeah, a private company doesn't have a duty to provide jobs. That's the government. The government provides jobs. Now, a private company technically has a duty to create profit for its shareholders and directors. So that's actually what's written into law. Where I am, it's called the Corporations Act. And where you are, they probably have something equivalent where you can go on Google and you could look up the actual laws that govern corporations and govern business. Okay, it's actually pretty easy to look up. All you have to know is the name of the law or the act. So, but what's interesting is in the comments, you've got a lot of people saying various things, kind of a whole kaleidoscope of opinions, which is cool. But I find that there's a lot of people that sort of comment on what they think it should be rather than what it is. And it goes into ethical stuff, it goes into moral stuff, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, what actually matters in the sense that people get away with it is what's legal, right? So technically, at least where I am, what's legal is that they don't have a duty to provide jobs. Okay, jobs are a side effect of making money. Okay, if you make a lot of money, usually that takes more people, so you end up hiring people as a necessary evil. That's how businesses look at it. And what's interesting, though, is that the comments, and I see this across the board. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, but the comments are disproportionately from people that are sort of on the fringe opinions, right? Not the mainstream. So, for example, you would think that of all the comments that you would get, 75% of them would say false and 25% of them would say true. That's not actually what we see. Usually the vast majority of the comments are in this category right here, the sort of minority opinion. I just find that interesting. So the moral of the story is if you go by comments, you might get a skewed idea of what most people think of the consensus of opinion. When in fact, if you go to the actual results, you see that, okay, yeah, this is more in line with what I was expecting. Now, just so everybody knows, the reason why I'm asking these questions, okay, is to get people thinking about this stuff. It really doesn't matter what your opinion is. It really doesn't matter what, how much you know about it. That's cool. I'm doing it because I thought that the people that view my videos might find it interesting to start thinking about these things. Like, do they have an actual duty to do this? A lot of people make assumptions that sometimes are incorrect. And what I wanted to do was just sort of stimulate some thinking about this. Okay, here's the weekly fun one. Why did the accountant cross the road? Because according to his file, that's what he did last year. Hardy har har. That's a very old joke. And then I put a couple of options in here to get his bat and to annoy the company's expert. And 22% of you suspected that there was something up there, and maybe there is. But it's always good to have a sense of humor. Okay, back to the serious ones, or semi-serious. If your employer told you, quote, here's the new arrangement. If you don't like it, leave. So if your employer told you that, you would, and then here are the options, leave, stay but be upset, stay but start applying to other jobs, or stay but slow down. Okay, and this is kind of in line with what I would have expected. 79% of you guys said stay but start applying to other jobs. Now, there are some interesting comments, as I recall, on this one. A lot of people were saying a lot of interesting things. People were sharing some of their personal stories. And, there's a lot of people that, I don't know how to put this, but they sort of, they take issue with the question. Basically, they say, well, you can't really ask that. You have to clarify what the new arrangement is. What if I like the arrangement? Yes, there's a lot of assumptions here. And any question that I or most people could ask you is not going to be spelled out to the nth degree. There is a limit to the amount of clarification one can give in a practical situation. And what this is also is this is sort of a test. If you get a question, say from a recruiter, okay, in a job interview, that's the standard situation that a lot of people are confronted with. If you get a question from a recruiter, usually they're not going to clarify everything to the nth degree. They're going to give this sort of self-contained question. It's very short, and you have to give an answer. And obviously, it's going to require some interpretation. And this is the challenging part for a lot of people. Why are they asking the question? What precisely do they mean by it? Because they're not explaining it in great detail. They're just sort of giving it to you, and it's a bit ambiguous, and you have to come up with an answer. So this is an example of that. I intentionally don't explain things to the nth degree. I leave it up to you guys. Now, this is what I had in mind when I explained this. If your employer told you, here's the new arrangement, okay? Now, the new arrangement, I'm making the assumption that is not something that's favorable to you, okay? If they decide to do something that's like a positive change that you're really glad about, there would be no issue, right? There would be no dilemma because it would be 100% positive, it's happening, and everything's fine. The assumption here, obviously, is that the arrangement is something that you're not really into. It's an unfavorable change. So that being said, and they give you an ultimatum, if you don't like it, leave. This is also based on my firsthand experience in a unionized environment from many, many years ago, where management basically did this to the workers and said, like, we're changing the rules, we're changing the conditions, deal with it. And the workers' response was like, well, that's not fair. We expected that you would do this. And the employer came back and said, well, I'm sorry if you expected that, but we're doing it anyway. you always have an option. You can always leave. Okay, you don't have to take it. If it doesn't work for you, you can always leave. We're not forcing this upon anybody. Now, number one, they were technically correct. Number two, it's just a nasty way to do things. The way they did it, the way they communicated it, I felt was very poor. And you kind of didn't need to do these things in the first place. So, but how would you regard this? That was what the question was. And I kind of expected that result. I expected a combination of all three, actually, of these three answers here. You'd be upset. You'd probably slow down because you're not enthusiastic about doing your work. But you would also start applying for other jobs. So, right on. Next question. Here's, it's pretty hard to get a more vague and unobjective question than this. Are you in control of your destiny? Yes or no? Now, once again, we got a torrent of people saying, there isn't a yes or no question and all these details. Listen, who am I to say yes or no to this? This is kind of, everybody's got their own opinion on it. And it's going to be a continuum from yes on one extreme and no on the other. And then there's all kinds of gray areas in between, right? I think most people would agree that you have some control of what happens to you in as much as you can control your own actions. But also, most people would agree that you are also a victim of circumstance. Things happen to you that you have no control over, and you have to just sort of swing with it, right? What was it? Float like a lotus on the river of life, right? So, there is no right or wrong answer. I'm not going to judge anybody's answer, but it's to get people to think about this, because the thing that we talk about on this channel is careers and, at the low level, getting a job, at the higher level, moving up, or perhaps even sort of going solo, becoming an entrepreneur and not working for an employer, but making money directly. And it's to get people to think about this. Hopefully people have thought about this a little bit, because you do have, I think most people would agree, you do have some control over where you end up. And if you never consider this, you never think about it, it never occurs to you, chances are you maybe won't go as far as you could. You might not realize your potential. So that was my intention with this question. I'm not sure if I succeeded, but we got some really great comments from people. So thank you to everybody who was commenting and voting on this. Okay, next one. My problem is, and here are sort of 4 common situations that I guess viewers of this YouTube channel might be problems that they might be looking to solve. I send out many applications, but get few interviews. 43% of you said that, and that's the winner of these 4 options. So yes, that's a common situation. I hate my job and want to quit, but forces prevent me. I want to move up, but don't know how to network. That was the sort of runner-up, with 27% of you guys saying that. And I can't seem to pass interviews with recruiters. So I'd like to think I address all of these on my YouTube channel. I send out many applications, but get few interviews. Now, in a nutshell, if you're having this problem and all you're doing is your job search campaign solely consists of finding online job postings and responding to them with an application, with a resume and maybe some other stuff. If that's all you're doing, you're not doing anything else, and you're having this problem, I would seriously consider looking into some of the alternative methods for getting a job. Networking in particular, okay? And for all you introverts out there, just a reminder, networking is not what you think it is. You don't have to call anyone. You don't have to talk to anyone face to face. If you want to do it that way, you can, okay? Thanks to the internet, thanks to social networking, it is now possible to network and not have to do any of that face-to-face interaction that a lot of introverts shy away from, okay? But if you're in other certain situations, if you have a work gap, okay, you've been out of work for a while, probably for legitimate reasons, maybe you had to deal with family issues. Maybe you had to deal with personal issues. Or if you are changing careers, you're going from one career to a new career, and by definition, you have no experience in the new career because that's what you're going to. Okay, that and several other situations, you will probably find yourself in this situation if you're simply responding to job ads and talking to recruiters. There are many ways to break that kind of deadlock. And as I always say, because it's true, the biggest one is looking into networking. There are other methods too, but you solve that by employing a different method for getting a job, okay? Sending out applications and then getting job interviews with recruiters, that's great if you're on a certain career path. If you've done, the jobs you're applying for are things you've done before or very similar to things you've done before, then there are, this could be appropriate if you're at sort of the lower end. But if you're in almost any other situation, you would want to look into some alternate methods of getting a job. And this one here, I want to move up, but I don't know how to network. Well, like I was saying earlier, I have a course on that. Okay, that is the Get Hired course right here. Link in the description. I cover all of that step by step with templates and everything, all in one place from beginning to end, all the principles at play. And I created that for, that was a big purpose, a big part of why I created that course. So once again, thanks to everybody who is sharing their stories. There's a lot of people that made some great comments here. We got 2 more to go. Next one here. I hate this question the most. And these are some standard job interview questions. This one surprised me. You guys surprised me. The options were, what does success look like to you? That's a pet peeve of mine. I was asked this in an interview a very long time ago when I was applying for jobs in a past life. And I did not like that. That was the opening question for the interview. Why should I hire you? Which is the winner at 51%. Why did you leave your last job? And tell me something about yourself not on your resume. I'd like to think that these are candidates to be an annoying question. Let's get into this. The winner was, why should I hire you? Now, there are some pretty choice comments down here about what people think of this question. And I gotta say, in a lot of cases, people, I believe, are mistaken on this question because on the surface, this question sounds insulting and stupid. Like, you should, obviously, why should I hire you? Because you're looking for a job and because you need a job. Yes. However, if that's what you think, okay, you are missing the point of this question. Everybody says it, why should I hire you? That's not what they're asking. They're asking, why should I hire you as opposed to any of the other people that applied for this job? In fact, this is actually a very good question to be asked. You want to be asked this question because they've just given you a sort of open floor to now be able to talk about yourself, give them compelling reasons why you're awesome, okay? Tell them what you have, what experience you have, what education you have. Tell them what you've done, what accomplishments you've done, okay? Give them other reasons, like what your ambitions are or how passionate you are to do certain work, whatever. This is an open floor for you to talk about yourself and make a case for yourself. This is actually a really good question, okay, to be asked. The problem is, when most people hear this, they take it to mean something else. This is an example of how things are not clarified. They take it to mean the recruiter is saying, why, like, you're here asking for a job. Why would I hire you? Why would I give you a job? And people, all of us, tend to be very self-centered. We always think it's all about us, okay? So the way most people interpret this question is, why should you hire me? Because I need a job, right? It's all about me. It's because I need a job. That's why you should hire me. No, they're asking the question from their perspective. They could hire a whole bunch of different people. Many people have applied for this job. So they could take their pick. They're asking you, why should they pick you specifically? Why are you different from all the others? Okay, remember that. And it's a good question, okay? Because you're not being interrogated. You're given an open floor to talk about. Say anything you want that will convince them that you're good, that you know your stuff, that this is appropriate for you, how you won't let them down, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So if you click this question, I think you have some learning to do. I'd recommend you learn a bit about the question. I have a video about it. I know many other people have videos about it. There's a lot of resources on the internet. But learn about this question. This is actually really good. Don't get a negative reaction. Don't get all insulted when they ask this to you, okay? Because that could be what's hurting you in job interviews. Okay, and finally, or no, that's it. I guess that's it. I do have a question that's open right now. So go to my YouTube channel and vote on that one. Okay, in the polls. That's the polls for this week. There's going to be more next week. I'm going to be moving this live stream. I move the live streams around when I don't have meetings and appointments and things. So unfortunately, I think I'm going to be moving it again next week. I'm going to do my live streams, I think, all on Monday. So hopefully you can make that. Join me again. I see in the chat we've got Lane Padang, if I'm saying that. Thank you for your all the time positivity, sir. Hey, you're welcome, Lane. I do what I can, and you got to try and be upbeat about this process. I know looking for a job is not really a great feeling. Usually we're at the lowest point in our lives. Okay, it's among the lowest points in our lives when we're looking for a job. We do not feel like we have it together. We do not feel in control. We do not feel very good about ourselves. But despite that, just remember, it's temporary, okay? Before you know it, you'll be back on top. You'll have forgotten all about how you feel now during the job search process. And Adrian Kozak says, hello, what do you think about Robert Greene books? I have no idea who Robert Greene is, but thank you for playing. Anyway, I will be back in just over half an hour to do my regular Q&A. I'm doing another regular Q&A live stream this week. So if you have any questions about anything related to careers, job applications, job search, entrepreneurship, anything, feel free to come back and ask me those. In the meantime, I wish you all the best. Thanks and take care.